I'm Spenser Johns, and I like to consider myself a singer-songwriter. So last year, during fall break, my mom proposed that we go to Nashville to visit one of her friends who has a daughter that is in Nashville music and is recording stuff there. So I was like, let's go. So we went, and we saw her perform at somewhere called the Listening Room, which is a very prestige writer's round in Nashville, if anybody knows that. So we watched her perform, and it was awesome. And then afterward, my mom's friend introduced us to her producers, and was like, oh, Spenser sings and writes music. And they were like, oh, give us your social media. We will look at you to see if you're any good. And I had no expectations. I was like, they're probably not going to love me. It's entertaining business. But 2 weeks later, I got a message on Instagram from them saying that they liked me. They wanted to see if something could work, see if I could write music. And I was obviously freaking out. And so they called us and said, we need to see if you can write, because they knew I could sing. They needed to see if I could write. And so I was freaking out because I did not have any songs. I had one song I didn't fully believe in. It was called 6 Minutes in Georgia. And I just remember I ran upstairs to this little attic area. I wrote 2 songs really quickly, one called Bird and one called Fade In, and sent the songs to them, hoping for the best. And they actually liked me, and they invited me down to Nashville to record, produce, and release 2 of my original songs. I went to Nashville, and the first thing I did was a gig at the Moxie Hotel, which is actually right across from the Johnny Cash Museum, which is very cool. It was in the heart of Nashville, and I did that with a fellow Nashville artist. Her name is Maddie Lee. And then the next day was the exciting day of the trip. I went to a small studio in Nashville called Omni Sound. Just to give some context, some people that have recorded songs here are Blake Shelton and the band Perry, which the song If I Die Young, that was recorded at the studio, which is very surreal for me to think about, that I was in the same place. But they basically had 2 smaller recording studios that are like for mixing, and then the big recording studio, which is where I got to go into. And first thing I did was I played my songs to the musicians to make sure they had everything they needed. And then we started just making the instrumentation. I was in this very small box that was probably no bigger than this carpet right here, very tiny. I just told them how I wanted to have the song sound like. I gave them references of other songs I liked. And we spent about 2 hours making the instrumentation. It was very nerve-wracking because before the producer Will told me that there are people that are very good at explaining things, and I was very nervous for that. And luckily I was pretty good at it. They were very appreciative of that. But this took about 2 hours because I was very picky. That was much longer than I expected. But afterward we got about a 2-hour break for them to do other stuff and for me to go get food or whatever. And so then we came back and we did the vocals. And the songs that they decided to do were Burden and 6 Minutes in Georgia. I forgot to mention that. But for 6 Minutes in Georgia, that's a pop song. So what we decided to do was record that in sections. So I did it phrase by phrase. Because pop songs are very hard to sing. So that one took probably about an hour and a half to do, because there were some high notes, some runs that were very difficult. And then for Burden, that one's more of an emotional driven song. So we actually did the full song in like 2 takes and then just some phrasings to fix it. But I remember the very last thing I recorded, my voice cracked very badly on this song, and I was very embarrassed. But actually that ended up on the recording because it actually fit with it, with the emotion-driven stuff. And then the next, or right after this, I actually did a writer's round with some other Nashville artists, which is very cool. But obviously I couldn't stay there forever, unfortunately. I wish I could. So for the rest of the song process, we had phone meetings, and they sent mixes of the songs over so I could figure out what I liked with the mixing of the voice and whatnot. And I even made the artwork that you saw previously on there, which was pretty cool. But that was my experience making the song. There's another slide. It just has a QR code, and if anyone wants to listen to it, no, I gotta come up myself. But actually the last thing I'm going to do is, I was going to sing a song that I've written. Am I good with this mic?
Yeah, you're good. You can take your mask off.
Oh, okay. It's not going to be 6 Minutes in Georgia or Burden, because I want you to go stream those. But this song is one I wrote called The Real World's Game, about not knowing what I want to do when I grow rough. But yeah, hopefully you can hear the guitar. If you can't, I'm loud enough so you can hear my voice. So yeah.